don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that anytime we upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you.
First and foremost, just offering all honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yah. Thanking him for all things and thanking him for everything. I've been doing the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat Shalom and Paul. Please be seated. How's everybody feeling?
Oh,
Man,
that's right.
amen. I got to forgive me. I got to get my mind back focused. They threw me off back there. They started trying to start controversy. God is good.
Oh, man.
Thanking the Most High God because He is good and His mercy endures forever. Thanking the Most High God because He is good and His mercy endures forever. So the portion that we're going to be going into today is going to be the portion of Jeremiah chapters 12 and 13. Thanking the Most High God for my life. Thank you, sir. Thanking the Most High God for the lives of my family. Thanking the Most High God for your lives and the lives of your family. Thanking the Most High God for the life of my teacher, Hamode Mishael ben Yisrael. So much going on. I don't know where to start.
Oh, man.
I mean, there's so much going on. I don't even really know to start. You know, the other day I was watching a video. It was actually an old video. But because the police officer was on trial now, it's coming up again. So it's the video, I believe it's surfaced out of Canada, where the sister was arrested and the police officer was trying to go through her hair, and she was and so he was trying to prepare her allegedly to be fingerprinted, and he was going through her hair or trying to go through her hair, and she was moving her head back like, you can't really touch a black woman's hair, and so she moving back like trying to keep him from touching her hair, and he just kind of grabbed her, threw her face first onto the ground, hit her face on the ground, and she was laid out. You see blood on the ground. And so he was suspended with pay. This was vacation. And that happened, like I said, in about 2017. And right now, because the video resurfaced again, because the trial is going on, and so the video resurfaced again. And so I only bring that up and mention that to say that the world is showing us exactly how they feel about us. And sometimes what happens is when somebody is showing you exactly how they feel, and when somebody is showing you who they are, you just need to believe. So Wednesday morning, this morning also, I believe, this whole country woke up not knowing who their president was going to be. Yet, me, I'm telling you, I slept real good Tuesday night. I slept real good because I knew when I woke up in the morning, my God was going to still be God. Am I right or wrong? So people been fighting back and forth. And I know one of the things that this whole election process has showed me is just another way that we as is like we just find ways to be mad at each other for no reason. Y'all mad at me because I said we need to vote. We mad at people who said we shouldn't vote. We mad at people who said they voting for one candidate. We mad at people who said they voting for another candidate. And with all of that, we as God people can't find our way to come back to each other. So I hope and pray that the Most High God would use situations like this. So now I've been getting things across my news feed all the time. Technology is evil because now I got stuff in my head because stuff been coming across my news feed, so I know what's going on. But I don't want to put nothing out there because I'm not supposed to know because it's God's day. Right. I'm supposed to be focusing on God. But everybody will hear whatever they're gonna hear tomorrow or tonight or whenever, if we don't already know. But the one thing that I want to focus on and talk about is when you go through this book of Jeremiah. And like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the thing about the book of Jeremiah is God spoke to Jeremiah in a time when Israel wasn't doing right before God. So most of the portions and most of the things that you're going to see that's going to come forth from the prophet Jeremiah, where God speaks to the prophet Jeremiah, a lot of it is going to be negative. A lot of it is going to be where we are the products of God's frustration and even Jeremiah's frustration towards each other. That's what we're going to see. And you're going to see that in chapters 12 and 13. But one of the things that I want us to consider is because a lot of times we tend to harp and focus on all of the negative. But guess what? God made us a better people in that. The only reason that we're negative right now is because we're in a negative state. That doesn't mean that we're a negative people. We're just in a negative state. And the way that the good part about that is we ourselves can uplift ourselves up out of the state that we're in. But you got to be willing to do it. We as a people have the capability to be able to come together, and we've seen it. We've seen little pockets and pieces of it, little by little. We just need to practice it on a broader scale. We need to start to come together. There was this, and I don't really subscribe to stuff like this because I'm just not too concerned. But there was a post that had been going around. It filled up my and they're going to be they're looking to initiate people, and they're looking to hang and kill and murder and all of those different things that they're looking to do to black people. And my response is, what's different than any other day? What's different than any other day? Right. So we can't be living our lives in fear. It's a funny thing. We live our lives in fear of all of the different things that we think people can do. And sometimes we don't even live our lives in fear of what we know God can do. Right. Right. And so that's what we need to consider. God's scared. Right? Right. God said those who put their hands on his people Israel, he said that all those who devour will be held guilty. Am I right or wrong? So you know what? God also said, when a man's ways please Yahweh, he makes even his enemies be at peace with him. Am I right or wrong? So I'm not worried about the Proud Boys. I'm not worried about anything that's going to happen where anybody thinks that they're going to do anything to me that God won't allow them to do as long as I'm right before God. So while everybody putting out their threats and all of these different things, we need to focus on God. Focus on getting ourselves right before God. So we're going to start in the portion of Jeremiah chapter 12. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Right? Wouldst thou be, O Yahweh, were I to contend with thee? Yet I will reason with thee. Wherefore doth the way of the wicked person prosper? Wherefore are all they secure that deal very treacherously? Thou hast planted them, yea, they have taken root. They have grown, yea, they bring forth fruit. Thou art near in their mouth, and far from their reigns. But thou, O Jehovah, knowest me, thou seest me, and tarriest my heart toward thee. Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter, prepare them for the day of slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of the whole field wither? For the wickedness of them that dwell therein, the beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they said, he sees not our end.
So this is Jeremiah speaking, and this is Jeremiah speaking to God. So when you actually read it, you could tell Jeremiah is frustrated. Jeremiah is angry. Jeremiah is upset with exactly what's going on. And the portion starts out where he says, rightest would thou be, O Yah, were I to contend with thee. That makes basically saying, Most High God, I know if me and you, and they use the word reeve, which is literally like contend, go back and forth. He said, rightest wouldest thou be. Of course God would be. But Jeremiah said, yet I will reason with thee. Meaning I would like to have a conversation. I want to talk about exactly what's happening here. So that's what Jeremiah is saying. And we saw something similar to this in today's portion. It's just Abraham did it different. God had his mind set on doing something, and Abraham knew what God had intended to do because God told him. And Abraham's focus and Abraham's goal was to, he wanted to save Lot. So Abraham went from 50 people all the way down to 10 people in order to hoping to save the city, but really more so hoping to save Lot. So the Most High God, when the Most High God makes himself available, I mean, you can have a conversation with God. There's people who've been able to have a conversation with God and it's taken place. This is no different. The only thing that's happening here is Jeremiah is a little bit more frustrated. Jeremiah is angry because Jeremiah sees exactly what's happening in the southern kingdom. Part of the tribe of Judah had already been taken into captivity from Nebuchadnezzar. And this is the rest. And so Jeremiah is looking at the remnant of the people that are left in Jerusalem and right around those surrounding areas of Jerusalem. And Jeremiah is just frustrated and angry with the things that the people are doing. And so he comes to God and he says, Most High God, wherefore does the way of the wicked prosper? And how do they dwell secure and peace and prosperity when they deal very treacherously? So that's what Jeremiah is bringing his petition before God, because he's like, I don't understand. If we supposed to be upright and these people are acting like this, I don't understand how they still get to act peace, how they still get to live peacefully, live securely when they acting in a way that's not in accordance with God. And that's what Jeremiah is saying. And I know that we as a people sometimes feel the same way. Because sometimes we look out and we look and we see the things that people are doing. We see the things that's happening and we get angry and we get frustrated because we're like, how are we as a people acting like this? The psalmist talked about this in Psalm 73. When he said the same thing, wherefore does the way of the wicked prosper? And as he was going through the different progressions in the psalm, at the end of as it came towards it, he said, I see them and they're prospering, they're winning, and all of these different things. And then he got to the point and he said, but then I stepped into the house of Jehovah. And once I stepped into the house of Jehovah, once I had a minute to stop and think about exactly what was happening, I realized and I understood their latter end. And I wasn't concerned about the wicked anymore. So what I'm saying to us as a people is, last time I checked, God was able to do everything that God said that he was going to do. Am I right or wrong? So we need not worry ourselves about wicked people or this or that. God is going to handle exactly what God needs to handle. He's well capable of doing so. God has run the world for the last as long as we can remember. And that was no different. So, but yet, Jeremiah is putting this petition before God. He's angry and he's frustrated. And here's God's response. Come on.
If thou hast run with the footmen and they have wearied thee, then how canst thou contend with horses? Though in a land of peace thou art secure, yet how wilt thou do in the thickets of the Jordan? For even thy brethren in the house of thy father, even they have dealt treacherously with thee, even they have cried aloud after thee. Believe them not, though they speak fair words unto thee.
Right. So God's response is, so now this is one of the things about God before I get into God's response, is when other men have petitioned God. And typically what happens is when men petition God, God answers the man or the woman or whoever it is in accordance with them. So, for example, when God spoke to Jonah, after Jonah was upset because God decided to save the city, right, what God said to Jonah, God said, are you greatly grieved and upset because of the God? Like you really upset now? Are you for real? When God spoke to Elijah, when Elijah left, right? Because Elijah felt like he was the only one left that was doing right before God. And Elijah went off and God asked him. God said, what are you doing over here? Last time I checked, you was a prophet, so you supposed to be over there prophesying and inspiring and motivating and giving people a word that I give you to give them. Am I right or wrong? That's the job of a prophet. Am I right or wrong? If you're a prophet of God, you can't quit. That's the job. The job is show the house of Israel to the house of Israel. Same thing with the watchman, right? The watchman's job is to be on the wall and blow the horn. That's his job. And when getting back to Elijah, after God asked Elijah, and Elijah said, what was his response? He said, because I'm upset and I'm angry, because they doing wickedly over there in the city, and so on and so. Storm. And God did all of that. And then it said, God, what? Came to Elijah in a small, still voice and said, I'm going to ask you again. What are you doing here? Same thing. And Elijah responded the same way. And God said, let me tell you something. You so frustrated that you're not looking. You're so frustrated that you're not watching. Because he said, I got 3,000 that haven't bowed down to Baal and haven't kissed him. They there. You just haven't seen them because you too frustrated and worked up because you're looking at everything, but you're not looking at God in the manner in which God shows himself to be God. All you need to do is your job. And that was how God spoke to Elijah. So now with Jeremiah is angry. Jeremiah is frustrated. And God responds and says, if thou have run with the footmen and they have wearied thee, how then can thou contend with the horses? What does that mean? Like, if you're supposed to be running with the footmen and you get tired from running with the footmen, how you going to run with the horses? Meaning, if you having a problem dealing with the easy stuff, how you going to deal with the hard stuff? If you can't pull yourself together to deal with the easy things when times are easy, like right now, how you going to deal when things get tough, when things get real bad? That's what God is asking them. And that's what I'm asking us. If we get so frustrated right now, right? Guess what? We don't have guns to our back. You know? Guess what? We don't have people standing over us watching our every move with intent to kill us. Not right there. I mean, in the overall scheme of things, yes. You haven't seen what it feels like to not be able to get a plate of food yet. Because the only thing Corona showed was Corona just showed that you was just going to have a problem getting toilet paper. Because that's all it showed. And that was, guess what? Guess what? That was a light thing. Because what might happen, I mean, guess what? If it got too bad and we really couldn't get toilet paper, we might have to go back to the way we used to do things. Like, you know, when before Pampers and Huggies was made, maybe we needed to use diapers and we needed to wipe and clean. And so if you have a problem with just a little bit of trouble, how you gonna deal when the hard time comes? And you know the hard time is coming because God said it's going to be a hard time for Jacob, but out of it Israel is going to be saved. So if you're having a problem with the easy times, how you going to deal with the hard time is all I'm asking. And that's what he said. That's all God asked him. I mean, God is great because God is poetic and God says things in the nicest and the most respectful of ways when he's really saying, toughen up, chump.
Right.
That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying. Man up. If you run with the footmen and they weary thee, how you gonna contend with the horses? And though, hear it, and though thou wilt, and though in a land of peace thou art secure. Because right then, for Jeremiah, Nebuchadnezzar wasn't scheduled to come back until Zedekiah's time was up. So if you having a problem dwelling in a land of peace and you worried about that, how you gonna deal when you got to go with the thickets? But this word is like the hills of Jordan, meaning like the up and down when things really start to get rocky. That's all God's asking. So my message to us about that is, listen, we need to get it together because things ain't gonna do nothing but get worse. Things ain't gonna do nothing but get worse. And what happens is when you have to deal with things, when you have to deal with hard things, that is what tests character. It says silver is refined through the fire. That's when you really test it. Right now it was easy. Right now it was easy.
7. I have forsaken my house. I have cast off my heritage. I have given my dearly beloved of my soul into the hands of her enemies. My heritage is become to me as a lion in the forest. She has uttered her voice against me. Therefore I hate her.
No, hold on. Because let's look at what's happening here. Because God said to Jeremiah, he said to him about, times is going to get rougher. But what God is also saying here, he said, listen, I have already forsaken my house. And I have already cast off my heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of their enemies. What God is telling Jeremiah is, you're looking at your people in their ignorance and their backsliding, and you're wondering and you're questioning me about why I have not judged. Because that's what Jeremiah is doing. He's saying, how is it that the wicked is prospering? Jeremiah is questioning why God hasn't judged. And God's response is, I have already forsaken my house, and I have cast off my heritage. God is saying, guess what? You worried about why I haven't judged them for the way that they act. But I'm telling you, I have already judged them, and that's why they act the way they do. And that's the difference. The reason that we as a people are in the state that we're in right now is because God has already judged. God has already made his proclamation, and he sent the slave ships he sent the northern kingdoms to chase us all the way down in all of those parts of Africa. And afterwards, he had the African tribes, the Hamite nations, to come, pull them out, bring them to the coast, put them on the ships, and send them to all of these different places. For the last 500 plus years, because we keep thinking 400 from when American Anglo-Saxon captivity started, but it's more than that. They've been bringing slaves and captives, not from 1619, but somewhere close to like 1523. So you're talking about close to 500 years. And from that point, from us being slaves, chattel slaves, to getting some sort of a pseudo semblance of freedom and still being oppressed and still being demonized and still being downtrodden, you wonder why we act like this, because God has already judged. That's the point. God has already judged. So when you look out and you see your brother or your sister and you see him as a crackhead or a dope head or a dope fiend or whatever it is, you got to understand that they're like that because God already judged. You can't look down on them. You need to find some sort of a sympathy and compassion within you to try to help. Because if we're supposed to be the elite, right? If we're supposed to be the elect, and if we're supposed to be the ones who God has given the opportunity to come back to serve him, right? God gave us Torah. Torah is more than walking up in here on Shabbat. Torah is more than that. I guarantee you Torah is more than that. Torah is more than coming on a holy day and bringing a nice big plate of rice and the nicest, softest salmon you could ever believe. Nice sweet potatoes and all that. Torah is more than that. Turkey wings and all that. Turkey wings. You get me hungry. I had a quick lunch on my way here. I'm hungry right now. Torah is more than that. Guess what? I'm going to give you a little secret. Torah starts after that feast day is over. That's when Torah starts. Torah starts when the sun go down and you got all of this extra food, and rather than you think about you and you think I got lunch for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you actually think, you know what? Let me package this up and take it to somebody who hasn't had lunch since last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. That's what Torah is. And that's what the Most High God is going to go through. And that's what the Most High God is explaining to Jeremiah right now. Telling him, God already judged. That's the way they are, the way they are. Black on black crime, God already judged. It's going to touch on that later. God already judged. And that's why we are the way we are. So I want us to understand when we can't figure out how to fix it, right? When we can't put our pride aside enough to be able to go to somebody else and say, let's work together. That's because God is already judged. And in order for us to get back in the good graces of God, we need to be able to put our pride aside and learn how to work together. We need to figure it out. Because what's happening right now is all around the world, with this whole pandemic, guess what? Everybody is locking up. They locked up their borders earlier, and now they're locking up their borders again. And you can't fly out as freely as you wanted to fly out before because everybody in their own country is protecting themselves, and we don't have a country to go to so that we can protect ourselves. And we worried about Biden or Trump and whether or not they're going to recount in the state of Georgia. That's what we worried about. That's what we fighting about. You know what? How dare you vote for, you evil if you vote. Really? Where you read that at?
Right.
Where you read that at? I would much rather to say you evil for allowing someone to continue to reign who has done nothing but allow authoritarians to continue and empower them to beat, burn, curse, oppress us. I say you might be a little evil and wicked for you to want to allow that to continue. Trust me, I already knew God was king before I knew who was running against Trump. I knew God was king when Obama was in office. I knew God was king because God always been king. Tell me about a vote. I remember we was on Facebook and the brother was telling me, and we was going back and forth about, I didn't even go back and forth. He started and he talked about how great Trump was and all those different things. And I'm talking about the issue. I'm talking about the incident. And he went and he brought me this whole news article. He brought me this whole spiel that I found out later. All he did was copied and pasted it from a news article. That's all he did. And he brought all of this. And I said to him, I said, you know what? I don't want to argue with you, brother, because that's not the point. And it was both me and Chief Uziel. I hope you're doing all right in Panama. Hope you're doing well. I see you posting, you jogging every day. And I said to him, you know what, brother? Let's not talk about that. Let's not focus on that. I said, you said you heard of D.C.B. and you're familiar with what D.C.B. does. These are some of the initiatives that D.C.B. is putting forward. We hope and pray that you'll be able to support those. And also, can you tell me some of the initiatives that you and your congregation or whoever you're affiliated with are putting forward, because we at D.C.B. want to be able to help that. We want to be able to help you with that. That was my response. And you know what his response was? I haven't heard from him since. I'm just saying. So you want to fight me back and forth about two different oppressors, right? But when I say, forget about both oppressors and let's work together and do things from us, then you get silent and tight-lipped. That's where we need to be at right now. Yeah, we voted. So what? We voted. We passed that now. Now it's time for us to work together. Been time for us to work together.
9. My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird of prey. Other birds of prey against her round about. Come ye, assemble all the beasts of the field, bring them to devour.
Right. So what he's saying is, he's saying his heritage, God's heritage, which is us, is a speckled bird of prey. And he said all of the other birds of prey are round about. The speckled bird, if all of us who know about who watch Nat Geo and all of those different things, the speckled bird is the one that stands out the most. We are the ones that stand out the most. And all of the rest of those birds of prey that are round about us are the ones that are looking to get at the one who stands out the most. That's what it is. And that's what he's saying. Come on, that's what he's saying. Come on.
Many shepherds have devoured my vineyard. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. They have made it a desolation. It mourneth unto me, being desolate. The whole land is made desolate, because no man layeth it to heart. Upon all the hills, upon all the high hills, in the wilderness, spoilers are come. For the sword of Jehovah devoureth from one end of the land even to the other end of the land. No flesh hath peace.
And that's what happened. So at the time when Jeremiah was prophesying, the Most High God was bringing destruction throughout all the land of Israel, from the north to the south. Because what happened is the king of Assyria had already come in and taken the northern tribes out. Some got to stay. Others came to move in. Others came to take over once we were carried out. The king of Assyria started shipping us to all different provinces. And then at this point, the king of Babylon had come in and taken out most of the provinces of Judah. The only portions that were left at this point were Jerusalem because of the wall and those suburbs that were right around.
They have sown wheat, and I have reaped thorns. They have put themselves to pain, they profit not. Be ye then ashamed of your increase, because of the fierce anger of Jehovah. Thus saith Jehovah, as for all my evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I called my people Yisrael to inherit, behold, I will pluck them up from forth of their land, and will pluck up the house of Yehudah from among them.
Right. So just to give a little bit of context, when we went through the book of Isaiah, and you read all of those portions where it said, and the burden of Yehovah upon Tyre, which is the Phoenicians, and the burden of Yehovah on Esau, and the burden of Yahweh on Moab, and the burden of Yahweh on Ammon and Syria and Assyria. When you see all of those prophecies that the Most High God talked about in Isaiah, and the same prophecies which the Most High God was talking about in the book of Ezekiel, when we get to that point, you'll see that that's all those nations that are round about us that came in and conspired against us, destroyed us. And that's what the Most High God is saying. As for mine evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. So what happened is they came in as we started to go out. They started to come in. Even when it was we were left few in number, they started to come in and they started to take over. And what God is saying is, guess what? I'm going to pluck you out that land along with the rest of Judah.
15. And it shall come to pass, after that I have plucked them up, I will again have compassion upon them. And I will bring them back, every man to his heritage and every man to his land. And it shall come to pass, if they will diligently learn my ways, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people, to swear by my name, as Jehovah liveth, even as they taught my people to swear by Baal, then shall they be built up in the midst of my people.
And so what the Most High God is saying is, so now, when they start to come back, if they will learn the ways of my people, and you kind of read about that in different portions, like with the king of Assyria, where it said that the Samaritans came in, but they didn't know the ways of the land, of the ways of the people of the land. So the Most High God sent in the wild animals come in, and so they said, let's start to bring some of the Israelites back, so that they can teach them the ways of the land. For those nations that are able to hear the word that my people are going to teach them I will allow to be reestablished. But those who don't,
but if they will not hearken, then I will pluck up that nation, plucking up and destroying it, saith Jehovah. 13. Thus saith Jehovah unto me, go and get thee a linen girdle, and put it on thy loins, and put it not in water. So I got a girdle according to the word of Jehovah, put it on my loins. And the word of Jehovah came unto me a second time, saying, take the girdle that thou hast gotten, which is upon thy loins, and arise, and go to Perat, and hide it there in the cleft of a rock. So I went and I hid it in Perat as Jehovah commanded me. And it came to pass after many days that Jehovah said unto me, arise, go to Perat, and take the girdle from thence, that I commanded thee to hide. Then I went to Perat, and I took the girdle from the place where I had hid it. And behold, the girdle was marred. It was profitable for nothing.
come on.
Then the word of Jehovah came unto me, saying, thus saith Jehovah, after this manner will I mar the pride of Judah, and the great pride of Yisrael, even this evil people that refuse to hear my words, that walk in the stubbornness of their heart, and are gone after other gods to serve them, and to worship them. And it is as this girdle which is profitable for nothing.
So one of the things that's consistent throughout this Holy Scripture is the Most High God expresses his intolerance for idolatry. He talks about it all throughout. And the thing about it was, the idolatry that we as a people got into wasn't that we completely rejected God. So we thought. The idolatry that we went into was we had God, but we just picked up a little bit of this, and we picked up a little bit of that, and we picked up a little bit of all of these different things. And we started to mention and couple the name of God with other people and other things. And that's what made the Most High God upset. And so you hear where the Most High God is talking about that the pride of Judah will be like this, even like this linen girdle, which was supposed to be, now a girdle is like a tight fitting garment that it cleaves, and that's what it talks about. It cleaves to hold things together. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. Anybody ever had a girdle? You know what I'm talking about. No? All right, well, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about that later. And so what he's saying is, so whereas my people were supposed to cleave unto me and hold on to me, they yet went and chose to do other things. and other gods, and their pride, the pride of Judah, even though I sent prophets to tell them between times, even though I sent prophets, the pride of Yehuda trusted in the fact that we, Israel, will be fine. That's what they trusted in. It was how God telling us how he felt about us trusting in other gods.
For as a girdle cleaves to the loins of a man, so have I caused to cleave unto me the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Yehuda, saith Jehovah, that they might be unto me for a people, and for a name, and for a praise, and for a glory, but they would not hearken.
That's what we were supposed to be. So what was supposed to happen is whenever somebody talks about God, it was supposed to be us. Whenever you saw a celebration about God, we were supposed to be the ones leading the celebration on God. But because what happens is whenever celebrations about God come into play, that's when people get excited the most. That's when people get worked up. But, worked up because everybody, especially in those ancient nations, had a concept of God or some sort of a alternate, all-powerful being. Everybody had it. And so what we were supposed to be is we were supposed to be the one that showed the praise and the worship and the clothing and all of those different things that the Most High God gave us. That was supposed to be us. And when we didn't, God put us in positions like we're in right now. So when you read about Deuteronomy 28 and you see that when the Most High God said, you're going to be the head, you're going to be the tail and not the head. And he said, every nation that comes in is going to mount up higher and higher, and you're just going to get lower and lower. I don't need to talk about color or race or racism. All you need to do is read Deuteronomy 28, and you'll see exactly the people who fit that bill, even till today. So I don't even need to talk about nobody else. Because all you need to do is do an intelligent comparison, and it's easy to see. Come on.
Well, wherever thou shalt speak unto them this word, thus saith Jehovah the God of Israel, every bottle is filled with wine. When they shall say unto thee, do we not know that every bottle is filled with wine? And thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Jehovah, behold, I will fill all the inhabitants of this land, even the kings that sit upon David's throne, and the priests, and the prophets, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with drunkenness. And I will dash them one against the other, even as the fathers and the sons together, saith Jehovah. I will not pity nor spare, nor have compassion, that I should not destroy them.
So when you start to talk about black on black crime was taking place long before somebody coined the phrase in the United States. This is what God swore and promised that was going to happen to the children of Israel if they didn't follow and keep the Torah, the words and the statutes and the commandments of the Almighty God. And when you see in these days and times, whether you're in the United States or whether you're in some of the other superpower foreign countries, some of the islands in the Caribbean, you see the same concept of us not being able to get along with each other, which is indicative of the curse that the Most High God put upon us. I just find it interesting and strange that we as a people are able to forgive everybody for everything. You call us the N-word? Yeah, it's okay, Martha Stewart. It's all right. What's the other lady name? Paula Dean. Paula Dean. Mel Gibson. Marky Mark. Everybody get forgiven. Everybody get forgiven. When it's us, we hold on forever. Everybody's still mad at Nick Cannon. Everybody's still mad at Nick Cannon. We can forget of everybody else. But us? Nah. Come on. What verse? 15.
Hear ye and give ear, be not proud, for Jehovah hath spoken. Give glory unto Jehovah your God before it grows dark, and before your feet stumble. upon the mountains of twilight. And while ye look for light, he turn into the shadow of death and make it gross dark.
So what he's saying is, listen, you know that the portion where it says, seek Jehovah when he may be found? That's what this is saying. This is saying, listen, give glory to Jehovah your God before it grow dark. Give glory to Jehovah your God before your feet stumble. Give glory to Jehovah your God because before it comes to the point that you look for light and God turned it into the shadow of darkness. Give glory to God in his time, not when you have nothing else left to do. That's what he's saying. He's saying, give glory to God in your youth. Give glory to God in the beginning, not for you to wait till things are just, everything is coming down on you and you don't know what else to do. So now you like, you know what? Maybe I'll turn to God. God don't play second fiddle to nobody. God don't play second fiddle to nobody. You think you're going to allow everything and then at the end, you're going to call on me? Funny thing about God is sometimes he might hear and sometimes he might forgive and then sometimes he just might not. Come on.
But ye will not hear it. My soul shall weep in secret for your pride, and my eyes shall weep sore and run down with tears, because Jehovah's flock is carried away captive.
And you know, that's the thing to show you about how much God cares about us. Because he said, so if you don't, you know what? I'm going to cry. He said, my soul is going to weep in secret. That's what it said. Am I right or wrong? He said, but if you will not hear, my soul will weep in secret. My eyes shall weep sore. But you will go into captivity. But you're still going to go. And I'm going to feel it the whole way while you going. Oh, but you going to go.
Say thou unto the king and to the queen mother, sit ye down low, for your head ties are come down even to your beautiful crown.
Right. And so what he's saying is, but he's saying, say down to the king and the queen mother. It's the queen mother, the Hebrew term is just Gavira, which is just great woman. That's all it is. It's talking about the queen, the king and the king's wife. That's all it's talking about. And he's saying, say to the king and the queen mother, sit ye down low. Because we, as a people, have this thing where our people can be impoverished. Our people can be oppressed and our people can be poor. And yet we'll still sit up high and royal, looking nice and regal, trying to rule over a poor and oppressed people. Now you dig that. I remember when reading about an interview with Mr. T. And Mr. T said he was going down to help out in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And Mr. T said, the first day I went down there, he said, I went down there and I had my jury on and I went down there and I said to myself, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to help. And he said, I got down there and I saw people with no homes. I saw people with their clothes and their beds floating down the street. I saw people living in the street in boxes and everything was water damaged and flooded. And he said, I'm sitting here with a neck full of jury on. And these people are hungry and poor. He said the next day, when I went down there, I took everything off. And I went down there and I really rolled up my sleeves, willing to help. My theory is them New Orleans cats looked at him, and that was another reason to help him take all of that stuff off and leave it in the hotel. But that's what he said. Because you can't, when people are hungry and people are starving for whatever it is that they need, you can't sit up and act like you better than everybody else to the point where you can't help. You can't do that. When you do that, you are no help. You are no help. One of the things that they talk about the leader eating first. The leader don't eat first. The leader eat after everybody else ate. That's what we need to see. That's the compassion that we need to see coming from our people. Because the fact of the matter is like I said, we go and we see it all the time. Homeless people, hungry people, drugs, destitute, and all of those different things. And guess what? Sometimes we look and I know because I do it. Sometimes we see them coming and we just roll up the window. We do it. We do it. We roll up the window. And when they come in, sometimes we turn this way. Yeah, so what was you saying, Isha? And you turn the radio up so that you can act like you don't see this person that's starving and hungry with a cup right next to your window. And that's what we do. Without considering there, but for the grace of God go I. That's what happens. That's what happens. So you wonder, I mean, we do a lot of talk, right? We do a lot of talk about, ooh, if I hit the lotto, I'm going to do this. Ooh, if I hit the mega, ooh, I'm going to do this. God, no. If you hit the mega, you going to move. Yeah. No, you going to move. D.C.B. what? D.C.B. who? D.C.B. should have got in on this ticket. Because we know deep down inside, if we hit the mega, we is not coming up in here on Shabbat. Because you know Chief El Kwana gonna be asking for donations and obligations right next to you. Know that. You might dip out when the sun touched the horizon. Oh, they ain't give me my check yet, Chief. Listen. What they gonna do? Cash out 20, Chief? Chief, you think it's gonna be a whole 20? Gonna be a whole 20? They might want change. Cash out me back change. Listen, we as a people, you know one of the biggest reasons that people mad at Obama? Because black people are mad at Obama. Because black people say, you know what? Obama ain't do nothing for us. He ain't do nothing for us. I think we expected that when Obama got in office, Obama was going to paint the White House black. Obama was going to have a barbecue with ribs every Sunday. That's what we thought. And we so busy waiting for a handout from somebody, from anybody, that we forgot that if we want something, we need to do it for ourselves. That's what we forgot. And so I'm going to say it to us again. Handouts. Ain't no handouts. If we want something, we need to figure out how to come together, excuse my French, and do it ourselves.
Say thou unto the king and to the queen mother, sit ye low, for your heads high are come down, even to your beautiful crown. The cities of the south are shut up, and there is none to open them. Yehuda is carried away captive, all of it. It is wholly carried away captive. Lift up your eyes and behold them that come from the north. Where is the flock given by you? What wilt thou say? He shall set the prince over thee as heads, whom thou thyself hast trained against thee. So shall not the things take hold of thee as a woman travail?
What the Most High God said is all of those friends that was round about, all of those nations that traded with you, all of those nations that you gave things to, and so on and so forth, I'm going to put all of them over you. That's what he did. When he started to talk about those nations coming down from the north, and they came one after the other, pushing us further and further away from the land because we moved further and further away from God.
If thou shalt say in thy heart, therefore are these things befallen me.
Say it again.
And if thou shalt say in thy heart, wherefore are these things befalling me?
So if you start to think about it, and if you start to wonder, if you start to ask yourself, why is this happening? Come on.
For the greatness of thine iniquity are thy skirts uncovered, and thy
For the
heels
greatness of thine iniquity did I show you. I showed you who you are. For the greatness of your iniquity, for the greatness of our iniquity, turning away from God. Come on.
Can it Cushite change his skin, or a leopard his spots? Can an Ethiopian change his skin?
No, come on.
Or a leopard change his spots?
Mm-hmm.
Then may ye also do good that are accustomed to do evil.
And that's what he's asking. See, what happened is when we get so accustomed, doing evil is something that, it's not something that just kind of happens. It's something that you kind of have to practice at and get accustomed to. Same thing with good. So what he's saying is, just like an Ethiopian can't change his skin and a leopard can't change his spots, how can you just do good that are accustomed to doing evil? Meaning, we kind of go, and I remember this is something that Maury used to say. We come before God and we pray and we say, God, make me righteous. God, make me righteous. Well, if I make you righteous, then what part did you have in? What effort did you put in order to do things for yourself? You know what happens is when you work for something, you appreciate it that much more. But when somebody give it to you, you take it for granted. That's what happens, and that's what's happening a lot with this generation today. A lot of people in this young generation, like things are just given to them, so they don't appreciate it. How you get an iPhone 12 and you come home talking about I lost my iPhone. You lost your what? You need to go outside and find it. Don't come back in this house but I got school. You need to go out inside and find it. Because that's the problem. Because we don't work for it, so we don't appreciate it. You don't appreciate the hard work that certain things come from. You don't appreciate it. You know what? This is my thing, and I said this to the kids last night. I don't think they knew what I was talking about. I said to them, listen, you don't understand certain things. If you ain't never, recorded your own mixtape on a cassette, right, you don't know what life is. If you ain't never recorded off the radio and had to press pause and this and stop to catch the commercial, you don't understand life. Because all you do is do Siri, play Pop Smoke, and you got it. You got it. Back earlier on in life, guess what? In order to hear Pop Smoke, you had to wait and listen by the radio for Pop Smoke to come around, and your tape better be ready, and it better have some space on it. Better have some space on it. Saying, we need to learn how to, when you work for stuff, that's when you learn to appreciate it just that much more.
Therefore I will scatter them as stubble that pass away by the wind of the wilderness. This is thy lot. The portion measured unto thee from me, saith Jehovah, because thou hast forgotten me and trusted in falsehood.
Forgot God. We forgot God and trusted in a lie. Come on.
Therefore will I also uncover thy skirt upon thy face, and thy shame shall appear. Thine adulteries and thy games, the lewdness of thy harlotry, for the hills and the field have I seen thy detestable acts. Woe unto thee, O Yisrael, thou wilt not be made clean. When shall it ever be?
Hallelujah. All honors, praises, respect, acknowledgement, and thanks I offer unto the great King of the universe, to the God of our fathers, to the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzchak, and the God of Yaakov, thanking him for all things and thanking him for everything. I bid you in the tongue of our forefathers, Shabbat Shalom, and go.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that anytime we upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you.